All right, so do narcissists work together, and can they work together? That's the question. And the answer is, hell yeah, they work together. And if it suits their delusional agenda, they will absolutely work together to accomplish their goals. And so I want to share my experience with that. And this recently happened to me. This is about 1.5 years ago. And just as a disclaimer, I'll explain the position I'm in. So my wife and kids and I decided to move onto my parents' property and fix up their guest house and help them in the retirement years take care of their place. And this is before I knew anything about narcissism and narcissistic abuse and anything related to that. And, moving there, we quickly realized that something's wrong, and we began to learn and understand, and we got the truth, and we're aware now. So we are actively pursuing other options for housing. So don't worry about that. And we're keeping the kids safe too, and ourselves. And so this event that recently took place, this was like the last straw with my narcissist mother. After this, I was like, man, that woman is evil, and that's it. There's certain things you just can't come back from. So this happened about 1.5 years ago, and this happened right as right when my second daughter was born. And the living situation with how the properties are set and with my neighbors is everyone is on a 2-acre lot, and they're like long rectangles, and everyone shares fence lines. So we're in close proximity on the fence line, and we share a fence line with the neighbors. And the previous owners of the property where I'm living were like, the guy was like a car parts hoarder and like a garbage guy. And a big thing on the property was me getting there and like cleaning up all the garbage. I have an excavation and forestry business, so I've been using my excavator, my skid steer, and my dump trailer, get all the garbage out of there. And there's like a ton of blackberries and just growth on all the buildings, and the fence line is a mess. So I began doing what I do because I do rural property maintenance, and I do a lot of removal of blackberries and just invasive plants in general. So I have a lot of knowledge and skill set for that. And I began doing it on the property when we first moved in, and the neighbors were stoked on it. It's like a Gen X couple that lives there. They're from somewhere in Cali, and the dude's he's like an ex-steroid bodybuilder biker guy, and then his wife, who is gnarly. She's like this kind of troll witch that runs their scene. They don't have any kids, but they have all these strange kind of sick animals. Anyway, so I'm cleaning up the fence line, getting the garbage out, cleaning up the berries, and the dude, I've become kind of friends with the dude, and he's cool, and at least I think. And so he's like, yeah, clean up the fence line and let's get the berries out of here and all the garbage, and thank you so much, this is great. And so I've been doing that for even before we moved to the property, and that was just an agreement that we had. So in my mind, everything's cool. So my wife is pregnant, and she's about to give birth to our second daughter. And, okay, she goes to the hospital, and she's in labor for 4 or 5 days in the hospital with the baby. And her mother-in-law flew out, and she's staying in a travel trailer on the property, and she's helping out, the best she can. And it's a lot, so we already have another daughter, and so my wife's in the hospital for 4 or 5 days. My other daughter's in preschool, and I'm working full time, and and then her mom is visiting as well, and so there's a lot to manage. I'm going back and forth to the hospital, and preschool and work and the mother-in-law, and it's a lot to take on, but I'm rising to the occasion. And this whole time, my parents are like MIA, man. There's no involvement whatsoever. My brother, my golden child brother, enabler father, and narcissist mother, it's like crickets from them. And what am I going to do? Go out of my way to call them and say, hey, you guys, come to the hospital, or or help, hang out with the mother-in-law. Nothing. It's like these people, it's a ghost town from them, which is like whatever. I don't care. I don't expect anything from them. But the pregnancy for my wife, what ended up happening was it was an intense delivery, and she ends up losing a ton of blood, and she like almost dies. And like I get the call like, hey, your baby's born. And I come to the hospital and I walk into the room, and the baby's like off on the other side of the room in the little, baby bassinet or whatever, wrapped up. And then I look over at the hospital bed, and it's my wife, and there's like 20 nurses and doctors around her. And so what had happened was she lost a lot of blood during the delivery. And, if she wasn't in the hospital surrounded by doctors and nurses and all the tools and everything they need to like save someone's life, she would have died. And that's how a lot of women, have died over the years in childbirth, is just losing too much blood and they die. And so she kind of doesn't really remember what happened because she was, going through the giving birth for so long, and she's just so drained that she kind of just like blacked out and forgot about it. But anyway, yeah, so she almost dies, and they had to give her blood. And then, then she gives birth to the kid, and she's like taxed, man. She can't really do anything physically. She's just so drained. And so the hospital is like, you guys can't be coming in and out of the room. She needs to rest. And so we have to move in to the hospital for like a week while she recovers. And we have to sleep on this little tiny, narrow bed thing. And luckily, the facility was nice, and they were super understanding, and, thank God that these people were reasonable, and they accommodated our family. So it was like me and our oldest daughter, and now we have the little baby and my wife in the bed. And so, and then the mother-in-law, she's at home, and she's at our house in the travel trailer. And then she would come periodically, but like, she doesn't have a lot of energy, and, she's doing the best she can, but I'm not putting much on her as far as responsibility. I'm just saying, just relax and help when you can. And, for a week in the hospital, it's me, we're up all night, because I got the baby, and then my wife needs fluids and food and rest, and then the baby needs to nurse, and it's like that for, like a week. And whatever, that's part of being a dad. Like, you don't want to be a dad, then I don't know what to tell you, but that's stuff like that happens, and you just rise to the occasion and handle it. And that's what men do. So I'm not complaining, but it's extremely exhausting. And, I've quit drinking and smoking weed and doing all that bad stuff that, you do to release energy and calm yourself down. And so what one thing that helps me is I'll hop on my excavator and I'll do some work, and so at the property. So I'd taken my daughter to preschool, and so she was in school all day. Wife and the baby are at the hospital. That they're doing okay. So I want to like blow off some steam and continue with this like insurmountable amount of work of cleaning up the property. And so I'm working on the fence line there, and I'm cleaning up blackberries. And this is all on our property line. I'm not going onto anyone else's property line to to like destroy their crap or whatever. It's all on our property line, and I'm just doing what the plan was, and cleaning up the property line. And then this was like a corner, and there was a shed, and then the fence line, and then it was just piled with garbage and brambles. And so I was getting in there cleaning it out. And I'm probably about like an hour in, and my mom comes running out. She's like running at me. Like, stop. You need to stop what you're doing. This is not okay. You have made the neighbors so mad, and this has to end. You can never do this again. She's just going off. And I was still kind of in that, under the narc spell of like, oh, I need to stop what I'm doing, and I must be in the wrong, and oh, I'm such a terrible person. So I like hop off the machine, and I'm like, oh, what can I do? And I'm like rushing around, and she's like, you need to you need to make it so they don't see you. And I was like, they don't see me. Okay, so I like quickly like put some trailers. I had a couple, like a equipment trailer and a horse trailer, and I quickly like hopped on a machine and moved them into place. And I was doing all I could because the narc says jump, and you're like, how high? And so I was jumping to it, and it like turns into this whole thing with the neighbors and how much they hate me. They've hated me as soon as I've moved in. And it turns out I've been nothing but a pain to them. And the things that they complain about are so... And then this like me fixing up the property line and cleaning out the garbage it really set them off. So then it all comes out, and the narc neighbor and my narc mom are like on the phone all day, gossiping about how I'm so terrible. And so it turns out, yeah, they hate me. I'm a big inconvenience to them. And they're sick of hearing me run my chainsaw because I cut firewood for our family. I have a forestry business, and I basically get free firewood. That's like a perk of my business. So we have like 4 wood stoves on the property, and I keep us swimming in firewood, and I process it, I haul it in, I bucket, I split it, and I stack it. And and that saves thousands of dollars on buying firewood. So yeah, apparently they do not like hearing my chainsaw. The other thing is they hate my wood shop. So I set up a wood shop for my dad and I so I could start a woodworking business, because I love woodworking, and I was investing my savings into this property, and I was investing my savings into something cool I could share, with my family. And one thing was with my dad, we could start this wood shop, and we could do woodworking together. And I remodeled the shop, and I bought woodworking equipment, stuck it in there. And so, a few hours a day, I don't know, like 10 a.m. to 12 to 1, I'm in there, running the table saw or the bandsaw or whatever it is, the dust collector. And yeah, it makes noise, and we live in this neighborhood, but there's limits to when you can make noise in the neighborhood, and that it's just a sound ordinance, and that's just standard. And apparently, yeah, they hate hearing the table saw, or they hate hearing the dust collector. And I have the door closed. Sometimes I have it open, and sometimes I have it closed. It's a garage door. And yeah, that's a big thing. And so it was like, yeah, you can't be doing the chainsaw. You have to shut your wood shop down. And what else? Oh, the other thing that they absolutely despise is I like to listen to music. And I have like one of those little Bluetooth portable speakers, and I like to listen to music when I work. And apparently they do not want to hear my music. And I listen to a variety of stuff, but it's it's nothing that's like total garbage. I'm a musician, and I have an eclectic taste in music, and it's not blaring. It's within proximity of where I'm working, and it's just a little thing. But apparently they don't want to hear that anymore. So it's like all these ultimatums come down on me, and it makes me feel fucking terrible. And of course, I'm under the illusion, and this is how it's been my whole life, of like, yeah, I must be a terrible person. Everything I'm always trying to do is to keep everyone else happy. I'm trying to keep the narc mom happy. Now, and I'm trying to keep the neighbors happy because I want them to like me. I want to be a good neighbor. And it's right around this time, in this event, it was like, because I was like, man, number one, it's like my wife just almost died giving birth. And typically, when children are born into a family, the family unites around the parents who are having the child, and they're involved. I'm not saying like we need some giant like support, but at least encouragement or just something. And almost losing your wife and then thinking that, yeah, your baby's not going to have your kids aren't going to have a mom, you're not going to have a wife anymore. That was incredibly scary to think about and to process. And meanwhile, like I'm still nursing my wife back to health and still running my business and doing the kids. And, it's like my folks didn't even bother. Like, I don't even know if they know to this day that situation occurred. Because I don't know what they know. But there was zero need or want or anything of like, hey, like, what's going on with you? And that's a big theme with the narcissists, I notice, is there's no one ever asks, well, like, what's your perspective? Why, especially when you like are going gray rock with these people or you just cut them off or whatever. No one ever asks, what's going on with you? What would make you do this? Because normal people who have empathy and care for one another, we all make mistakes and we get upset and we yell and we say things we don't mean to say. And that's just part of being a human being. But when you have empathy, you can reflect and you're like, man, I'm really sorry that happened. And, you can make amends with people, and that's just a natural thing. But with these narcissists, it's like, man, they don't know that, they don't feel that, they don't care, they don't have that capacity, that they don't have that emotional capacity. And so with the neighbors, I thought we were homies, and so I just went over there and knocked on the door because all this is new to me. Like, we've been here probably a year now, a year and a half, living next to them. And it's always like a howdy and like some small talk and just normal neighborly stuff. And I assumed if there's a problem, just tell me about it. Just come to me and say, hey, your music's too loud, or, can you mellow it out in the wood shop, or when are you going to run this, whatever, basic stuff. And, none of that. So I just walk over there and knock on the door, and the dude comes out and he's just like, he's like fucking steroid guy, he's like a tweak, he's like an ex-tweaker, I can tell. And he's all like, comes out. He's like, I'm glad you came over, to talk about this. And that really shows, that you're a man. And he, he's older than me. He's probably in his 50s. And I'm just like, yeah, okay. It shows. I was like, dude, like, what's going on, man? Like, I don't understand how you guys are so bent out of shape and there's all these problems. And he's like, let me get my wife. And so she comes out. I'm standing on the front porch. She comes out, and she's like this, 4 feet, 3 feet high, 3 feet wide lady, and I can tell she's probably like 2-3 sheets to the wind, man. They're kicking it back. It's always like, oh, they're over there. They have like their scene is so beat, man. It's like they set up this like weird tiki bar scene and with the lights, and they're always listening to like the fucking garbage music, and it's like 3 p.m. and they're just toasted and laughing, and they're always like, I always hear them, they're like, hey you fucker, hey fucker. They're always saying that to each other, and I'm just like, whatever, man, like I don't care, I'm not gonna bitch about some little thing. But anyway, so I'm standing on their porch, and the whole thing is like, hey, let's talk about this and resolve it like normal people. And she comes out and she's like, I can't even look at you. I can't even look at you. I can't see you. I don't want anything to do with you. I'm so mad. I can't talk to you. I can't talk to you. And I was like, and she like slams the door and goes in. I was like, fuck, dude, that was gnarly. I turned to the dude. I'm like, man, what is going on? And he's like, man, he's like, you just weren't, you weren't a good neighbor. And her pig has been sick. She has one of those giant, pot-belly pigs. Her pig's been sick, and you were out there making a racket, and she was yelling at you to stop. And I was thinking to myself, number one, like, no, I didn't hear anyone yelling at me. I wasn't listening to music. I had earplugs in, but I could see, like their place because I was up on my machine. No one said anything to me. No one came out and said, hey, what are you doing? Please stop. And yeah, if she's like going through some emotional breakdown because her pig is sick, I'll gladly stop what I'm doing. But no, from my perspective, no one told me anything. And I told the dude, I was like, I thought the plan was to clean up the fence line, because he's like, yeah, but, and I realized, I was like, dude, this woman is a narc, and the dude is her enabler and like her little blood boy, and she just sucks him dry, and he's like the total whipping post for her, and and I don't know what happens behind closed doors at their place, but I sussed it out pretty quick. Was like, it's just another narcissistic relationship. And it's like, God, man, I got two of them, just like my mom and now this lady. And she's the neighbor, and God, man, I got to deal with her ass. And then now this dude, and that's the thing, he has no spine. He won't stand up to her, even though, I was calling him out, like, I thought this was the plan. This doesn't make any sense. And yeah, he's got no spine. He's just like, well, I don't know what to tell you. So anyway, that event, and like right around that time, my wife was like, this personality disorder stuff, because I was learning about personality disorders, because I was really trying to understand, like, something's wrong with my mom, because I'd quit doing drugs. I quit smoking weed and I quit drinking, and I was really processing my own emotional problems, and I was owning them. I was like, I have emotional problems, and something's messed up, and I want to figure this out. Because I was just all about facing what I'd been running from for so long. And, I was going down the line, and eventually it's like my focus came to my mother. I was like, something's off there, man. I didn't know what it was. And I thought, it was like I was trying to figure out, like, what's wrong with this person. And that's when I got into, like, personality disorders and learning about, personality disorders. And then my wife, it was like one of those stupid Apple News things you get on your phone, and it was something about narcissism. And she's like, and she just, read it and was like, oh, that's interesting. And she's like, wow, that's probably what's wrong with your mom. And then she turned me on to it, and then I just went into the rabbit hole of narcissism, narcissistic abuse, and I was just on a study campaign, man. And this event happens, and it really showed just the lack of empathy, man, that these narcissists have. And then the other thing, too, was I was trying to explain to my dad, because then he comes out, oh, go keep the peace. He's like, oh, yeah, keep the peace, whatever. And I was like, where's the loyalty to your kid? Like, she just instantly sides with this other narc, the neighbor. And I'm like, you've only known that person for a couple of years, and you guys just talk on the phone. There's no relationship there. And why wouldn't you at least defend your child, who's going through this extremely challenging time in his life? But, that doesn't matter. And that was just so baffling to me. Like, there's no loyalty. And that's another thing that's really crazy about the narcissist and, like, the parent and the child dynamic is like I have such deep love for my children. I would do anything for my children. If you have children. But these narcissists, they'll chuck you in the river. Boom! You're done. They'll chuck you in the river, and you just float on down. And they'll just be like, see you later. I swear, that's the feeling I get. And so, that is what, boom, led me to, we're in the situation of living on their property. Yeah, and it fucking sucks, but we got to figure out how to make it work. And so that's when I started learning about gray rocking. And I've taken it pretty far. There's some cool videos on, like, predicting the narcissist behavior, and now this monster method that my wife and I developed. And so, we're really doing the best we can, and we're smart enough to figure it out and to make it work. But, if you're wondering, if narcissists can work together, hell yeah, they do. And now the current relationship with the neighbors and my narc mom is, man, I don't even see these people. They might as well just be like maggots on a pile of dog crap, for all I'm concerned. You know what I mean? Like, you're the king of Shit Mountain. You've got it. It's yours. Rule your empire, because I don't have time. I don't have time for these people. And so I don't even see the neighbors. And the dude is always like, oh, hey, I'm like, dude, you fucking monkey, get out of here. So they're done. The narc mom, it's Grey Rock Ninja with her. And we're just c'est la vie, man. We're just off. and soon we'll have a new place, and everyone will be stoked, and then it'll be no contact. And man, when no contact hits, it's going to be like party time, because the energy it takes to feed this little monster, your little pet monster narcissist, you just got to feed it so it doesn't kick down your door and murder you. And you don't want to feed it too much, because then it'll get used to gorging on you, and then you'll die. So you just got to feed it enough to but it takes so much energy. But I can withstand. I have the fortitude to make it happen. So anyway, I hope this was helpful, and I appreciate your time.